Look, I'll apologise now. A couple of audio issues in this one over Zoom, but hey, bear with us, it gets better. All right, a little bit of a different Further North podcast this week over Zoom. Feels like we're in lockdown. Feels like we're, stuck inside and there's nothing to do. But hey, here we are. It's going to be more rogue. Hopefully no cutouts, delays. But yet here we are. So, Marnie, hello. We're so far away from each other.
I know, I miss you. You're all the way in the sunny state and I'm stuck here in freezing cold Melbourne. Must be nice
that is true.
For you, Josh.
Yeah, no, it's good. I watched, I don't know if you spotted the Instagram post, Marnie, but I watched some top 4 footy a couple of days ago, and it was wild.
I did. It was a great game, the Brisbane-Sydney game.
Yes, yeah. Went to the Gabba and saw people hit targets, which is wild. So, look, I'm going to bring this concept back down to Melbourne with me, get me down to Arden Street, and don't worry, we'll be playing as good as the Swans and Brizzy very soon.
You heard it here first, guys.
Breaking news, we didn't beat Carlton, but we're here to talk about it because I think there's some positives to take from it. So, look, we'll do our best. Everybody who's listening, apologies, the audio quality is not as good, not in the normal studios, have the normal equipment. But, hey, we're fun and people seem to like hearing us talk, Marnie, so we're just going to roll with that. Before we start, 2 things to touch on. First one, VFL Grand Final win for the ladies. Look, I want to go to the VFL, the women's VFL now, because I didn't know that we had a VFL women's team until maybe like a year ago. Not today, no. And
I was going to say, you're late, Josh.
No. But I don't even know where they usually play. But that would be the most raw form of football ever. And I just want to get back to my roots. And I think we should go and check one of those games out. But hey, for our first North Melbourne team with a premiership for a while, and then we're just going to keep working our way up the ladder until every North Melbourne team has a premiership. But well done to the VFL team.
Yeah, go the girls. Yeah, the girls, as they say. As you said, Josh, perfectly put. Start at the bottom, work our way up to the top. Look, any North Melbourne premiership is a good premiership. So, and I'm sure it would have meant so much to all the girls who played on Saturday, and was it Saturday or Sunday? Who played over the weekend?
I think it was a Saturday. Yeah, it was a Saturday.
Yeah. Okay, great. I got that one right. But no, I'm sure it meant so much to them, and obviously means a lot for the club. And I can't wait for, we know how strong our AFLW team is and program is at Arden Street. So, hopefully we can see the AFLW girls now get the flag that they deserve. It's really great that the reserve side has had some success now, and hopefully that can trickle through when the AFLW season starts at the end of September.
Absolutely. I guess the VFL team's looking a bit shaky for finals right now, but and we won't mention the men's team. They're probably not going to make the top 8 this year, but hey, maybe next year. Second thing on the agenda, Cause Candy Shop, the photo shops. Now we've got a winner, which is very, very exciting. A lady called Sarah has won. We did just post just before we recorded this, so yesterday, when everybody is hearing this, we did post the winning Photoshop. Sarah and her son Devon, I think, is it Josh? I think the dad's name who entered the competition in. So they're the winners for this challenge, which was, we got a lot more than I sort of thought. Which was your favourite, May? Do you remember many of them?
Yeah, so my favourite was the winning one. I actually went back. Yeah, so I actually went back and found the message I sent you with my favourite. And then I had a look at the one that Aiden Core and I spoke about last week when I saw him. And we actually both picked the same one. So it was obviously meant to be. So congratulations to those guys. I believe the son is almost as big of an Aiden Core fan as I am. So it's great to see we're growing a little fan base in numbers. And I can't wait to get that badge over to you guys, and yeah, we'll definitely share a pic with the great man as well.
Yes, Yes, look, the 18 course scene is exploding right now, and it's making me very, very nervous. But hey, maybe I'm just going to be late on the trend, just like I was to Tristan Cherry. So, look, I'll eat my words. Who knows? Maybe I'll be on the core train one day too.
Well, he was excellent yesterday, so I can't wait to gloat about him some more. And along with the rest of our performance against Carlton. Did you watch the game? Where did you watch it?
I watched the replay because I was out at the time. So I was at the Brisbane-Sydney game, and then we went and got some dinner at a place called Eat Street, which was like a big venue full of food trucks and things. It was pretty cool. So I was checking the scores while we were eating some food. I saw our lead at halftime, and I got very excited. And I said, I'm not going to check this until another couple of hours, because I'd like to just turn it on, enjoy my time, and not stress about North Melbourne. Turns out I didn't do very well at that, and I did stress about North Melbourne. So I kept checking the score, and then we slowly lost. But it looked like a good performance. So I went home to the hotel I'm staying in, watched the game when I got home as well, and watched Charlie Comben kick 3 goals in a quarter, which was fantastic. So that was worth watching all of the 4 quarters, even though I did know that we lost.
It was pretty awesome. And look, obviously the result didn't go our way. I went on Blue Abroad last week and did the preview with Terry over on their channel. And I sort of said the way I see the game going is I think North will be competitive for the first half. I wouldn't surprise me if we took a lead to halftime, but then I expected us to get blown out of the water in the second half. And I was really happy that we were able to kind of hold our own. And we definitely didn't get blown away. And there was a number of factors that maybe led to the result going the way it did. But in reality, we probably should have walked away with the win.
That's really interesting. Do you reckon? Because what makes you feel that way, first off?
We were definitely the better side on the day. Forget the fact that we're second last and Carlton was, second going into this round. Brisbane had jumped into second spot after they beat Sydney a few hours before. Carlton's obviously a quality side, and I've watched a lot of Carlton this year. They're sort of my love child, which is a bit, I don't know, it's a bit strange. I've got an infatuation with them. But I just felt like Carlton's pressure was really hot pretty much from the start, and the way we were able to withhold the pressure and the way we were able to kind of still play the game on our terms was super impressive. And forget the fact, like I said, what our positions going into the game. On the flip side, and this is one of the reasons that I mentioned on our preview as well, is that I just feel like Carlton's one of those few teams that can get on a roll very, very quickly, and we obviously haven't been able to stop the bleeding in the past, and they did have a couple of bursts where they kicked a few goals very quickly, but they didn't really seem to do that in an overwhelming manner yesterday, and I just kind of felt like the game was pretty even for the most part. And when you look at where the game was probably won and lost, I think we probably, people are going to hate me saying this, I think we probably lost it for ourselves more than Carlton won the game, if that makes sense. I know we'll touch on the umpiring at the end of the game, but there were equally some pretty bad mistakes on our end and from a few senior players as well. So I think that we lost the game. I think it was ours to determine the result. And unfortunately, I just don't think we're clearly not there yet, especially against and a quality side just knows how to win games. And that is what Carlton is. People are probably going to mock them for, the way they played and the result. But ultimately, a good side just find ways to win games of football. And that game, they probably had no right to win, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess I sort of felt, I don't know. I think the first half we definitely were the better side. Second half, to me, I feel like the better team just got on top, not necessarily because they outplayed us. I don't think we got outplayed for the whole day. I just felt like they had better players in all positions of the park or in certain positions of the park, and that maybe just won it out on the day. I don't think it was a tactical thing. I don't think it was a game plan issue. The way we played as a team was really good. And like you said, if anything, I felt like we were maybe the better side, but I guess having Mackay's, Kerno's, Cripps sort of got them over the line in the end, just because they're better than our top line players at this current point in time. So yeah, I didn't feel like we got smashed or anything like that. Obviously 3 goals at the end is a pretty good result when you're talking 17th and second on the table as well. So yeah, look, I don't necessarily think we should have won personally, but I think we can hold our heads up pretty high with the type of performance we put in. And I was texting a mate after the game, and I sort of said, look, if we play like that against Richmond and West Coast coming up, we win. It's pretty simple. I think if we play like that against the bottom 8, I think we can win. Bottom 10, I think we can win. So look, like we sort of talked about in previous podcasts, I think, Sydney was a pretty bad performance. I'm glad we've put in a really good one against Carlton, and then it's going to be really important to do that against Geelong the next week, because we really need to go into those winnable games with good form and confidence. And, if, say, Richmond and West Coast were next week and the week after, I think we'd be going in super confident, really confident we'd win and we'd be favourites for those games. I think we're such a confidence team at the moment because we're not consistent enough. So, I think it's so crucial to at least put in a good shift. Obviously, a win would be amazing, but at least at minimum put in a good shift against the Cats. Then we can go into those games going, we can absolutely win because we've been playing that way. And to be fair, 2 months straight, we've been playing that way, bar the Swans game and maybe the Doggies a little bit. We've played pretty good football. And I think in all 6 out of the last 8 games or whatever it is, I think we beat the bottom 10 sides arguably on our day. So maybe bottom 8 or whatnot. So I don't know. I'm feeling all right. How do you feel the game went? Obviously a lead at half time. Tell me about the first half, Marnie. What did we do well? Who stood out to you? Or, just tell me how you were feeling at the half.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I sort of thought the game would go the way it did. So it was obviously really nice to see that us being so competitive and really take control of the game in the first half. I didn't get ahead of myself, which is very unlike me.
That is but very well done.
I think I just approached this game a little bit differently. I just think that, and I do agree with you, Josh. I think I was so glad that we were able to shake off the Sydney performance and be able to back it up with the performance against Carlton yesterday. And I think that it is really important for us to back that up again against Geelong next week to then hopefully get the wins, which we expect we should be able to beat both Richmond and West Coast as it stands. Super competitive, and Carlton's pressure, was elite. And we were still able to control the ball and control the game. We play the way we want to play. I mean, we outmarked them the whole game. We had over 100 marks to the game. They had 60 something. And I think that is if you flip the switch, that's where the game was lost, I guess, because in the last quarter, we obviously had to roll the dice and we had to move the ball really quickly, but that probably led to a lot of errors. So we were actually very cool and composed and calm in that first half, and we're able to control the ball. I think that there's a couple. Dylan Stephens, just for me, was the standout in the first half. He just jumped out of the blocks really quickly. I know you're really happy for me to say this. He did, unfortunately, probably fade out of the game in the second half, but his first half was probably the best half of football he's played for this football club, without a shadow of a doubt. He was clean. He was making great decisions. He was everywhere. He was covering the ground really, really well. And I just really felt like he was contributing to our build-up. I thought he was excellent. I thought he was great. I also thought that LDU and Harry Sheezel and Jai Simpkin all really came out of the blocks early and really set the tone early as well. I thought they were all excellent too. And then I also think it's probably a real thing to point out is Griff and Logue. Having Griff and Logue back is, and I know we'll touch on him probably a little bit more. And Charlie Curnow did end up with 4-2 for the day. But unfortunately, that's just the kind of player Charlie is. You can have an outstanding day and Charlie Curnow will still kick 5 or 6 on you. Unfortunately, that's just reality. Charlie Curnow is such a rare talent and he's such a special player that it's very rare for you to comprehensively beat that guy. I don't think he's scored less than 2 goals in a game this season. He's fantastic. But I think having Griff back was a huge asset to us yesterday. And not only that, I also think that his performance allowed Core to play even better again. And obviously Mackay had to go into the ruck at times because De Koning was sidelined for some of the game. But even so, I think both of them just worked so well together. So yeah, a really great first half, especially, and we obviously took the lead to halftime, and everyone, for the most part, played their role. But definitely for me, if I'm going to pinpoint one player, the player of the half was Dylan Stephens, for sure.
Well, I love that from you, Marnie. Now, I'm not going to call myself a football genius on here, but I'm a football genius. I've been calling it, and I told no, that's too arrogant. Look, he did play very, very well. I just think he's that sort of player that can be a lot better now in this system, and he needs some games to warm into it. He is a high pick. I don't think, I think a lot of North fans have written him off in their brains already. But depending on how closely people watch the games, I feel like I try to watch them closely. And I never, like I've said a lot of times, I never saw him do anything bad on the football field. I just saw him maybe not get involved. But then the way we were playing, I'm like, well, I'm not sure how a 180 centimeter winger is meant to get involved when they're playing like it's 1970 and just booting that ball as far as they can. So I'm glad they've given him a little bit of continuity, to play this kick mark possession sort of game, because I feel like I felt like this from day one with him, that his foot skill is great. I think he's one of the better kicks in our team, behind your McKerches and your Sheezels and stuff like that. So yeah, look, I'm really happy that he's hopefully warming into the team and getting some repetition there, or getting a little bit of continuity, because the left wing spot is up for grabs. I know McKercher is probably fighting with him, and Fisher and that sort of stuff, and where do you play them all? But it's good that we're actually getting some headaches in selection because of people playing well. So, hey, big up Dylan Stephens. He's my guy. A little bit later than I thought, him being good, but I think he's been pretty good in the last 3 games. Sometimes a bit quiet, but, I think everyone deserves continuity. And I think, one of the things that I always questioned, especially, and we all did at the start of the year, was like Darcy Tucker. Why is Darcy Tucker got this many games in a row when he was playing so bad? And he's playing good after the bye, and he's been really good recently, right? But he had 11 games of gunk basically in the team. And that's why I'm like, well, why isn't it Stephens? Or you can name other players as well getting that opportunity. So I'm glad he's getting a little bit of continuity, get his confidence up, and now last couple of games, he's got 20 plus touches. So hopefully he can keep doing that. But I'll get the stats up here of the point you made before, Marnie. 102 marks to 69. This is for the game, which we absolutely dominated the kick mark sort of game, which we know and we've seen when we do that, that is our strength. And that's obviously what we executed very, very well in that first half. And for the game, 16-6 contested marks, which is stunning when you've got like a Mackay and a Kerno in their forward line. We really didn't let them have much in the contest. And the biggest thing about North Melbourne, we would look at that stat before the bye and we'd see that there's 4 contested marks for the game or something like that. And now we're plucking contested marks for fun. And inclusions of Teakles, obviously Load coming back. I think they've got a massive part. I think Teakle is the biggest one, like not the best out of all our tolls, but just someone who's come in
great set of hands.
Yeah, just someone in a contest who can, like, maybe 2-3 times a game can take a mark and relieve some pressure, and then we can get it forward past the wing, or does take a mark in the forward line, kick a couple of goals like he did a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, our contested marking has improved tenfold since the bye as well. And I think, the marking and contested marking is a massive thing about giving us control, because we've always thought about, we've got good players, but we just don't get to use the ball. And guys like Stephens is a perfect example of this. And Tucker's probably a beneficiary of this as well. Now we're taking marks, we're getting possession of the ball. Now they can use it instead of it just getting booted to Jaden Stevenson 2-on-1 on the half forward line. And we're like, oh God, that's not going to end very well.
Yeah,
so
exactly right. No, I know what you mean. No, I completely agree with you. And I think yesterday, maybe we'll touch on the tall structure and we can sort of start with that. We can maybe start with the forward line this week. I think our forward line looked really potent and it looked really, really dangerous. I really liked the approach, we went with Larky, and then we had Comben and Eagle as sort of the 1, 2, 3. I think, and they all contributed really well. In particular, we changed the way we approached Nick Larky, which was actually to his benefit. Wittering played really well, but we lowered the eyes and we were able to deliver the ball to Larky lace out rather than flop it on his head like we so often do. And we actually played to his strength for a change. And he was able to take a few really strong marks. There was a couple of decisions there. He probably should have got a couple, like a tripping free kick early on in the game. But he didn't, and we move on, and that's fine. But he was still able to work his way back into the game. I thought the only one that was probably really quiet in the forward line yesterday was probably Zerha. And that, Paul Curtis was able to step up, though, and Paul Curtis was, in my opinion, one of our best yesterday. So, again, it's being able to share the love and share the load. And, if not every player is going to be able to stand up in every single game, and that's sort of just the reality of it. But I think yesterday the forward line probably looked the most dynamic that it has all season. And we kicked, 14-4? Like, we were super accurate as well. So we were clearly getting the ball in the hands of the right people, and it was a bit of a flow-on effect. No one was really missing much. So it kind of, everyone was able to sort of feed off each other as well, I think.
Yeah, I I put a note down here. Larky took 9 marks, and I think and he even pushed back into the defensive 50 and took a contested mark, almost Goldstein in 2015 like. And they said on the commentary that Larky had pushed back into the defense like Charlie Curnow does from time to time, and he took a really strong contested mark. Larky's marking in the last month to 6 weeks, I think, has been so much improved. He almost looks bigger, and I don't know if it's just because he's presenting more or he's actually put on some more weight and some more size. But I was watching the game yesterday, but I have thought this the last few weeks. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. He looks like he's put on a little bit of weight, perhaps, which we're never going to know because we can't find out his weight anymore. But I don't know. He looks like he's a much better target to hit. And he looks confident with his hands, which is fantastic, because if he can ever add that element to the game, I mean, we've probably got one of the top 3 forwards in the entire game if he could ever take consistent contested marks. Yeah. So, really good for Nick Larky to start plucking marks. Another one for the forward line I've got here is Zerha. Maybe not the most efficient game ever, but he got 4 assists. So I like that Cam Zerha is finding ways to affect the game if he's not kicking goals, or not kicking for, like, say, 3 or 4 goals or starring, in front of the sticks. He's still finding ways to contribute, because I think that's been one of the knocks on him for a lot of the time is, what does he do if he's not kicking goals and he's maybe not tackling? What exactly does he do? And I really like that he's starting to get some of those assists. So good job, Cam Zerha. I'm just trying to look up and see how many tackles he had as well. I think it was only 2 tackles. Okay. So I was like, at least he maybe laid some tackles, but no, 2 tackles, whatever. But yeah, 4 assists for him. At least he's finding ways to impact the game, if he's not kicking a bag in front of goal.
Okay. Well, speaking of someone who is impacting the game in a new way every single week, Charlie Comben.
Oh, wow. Please. This was crazy. When I heard that Chom was in the forward line, I was upset that I decided to have a holiday this weekend, because all I want to see is Chom kicking bags in front of goals. So tell me what it was like in that second quarter, Marnie, the CHOM show.
I heard a rumour during the week that he was going to play forward, and it made sense because Carlton went pretty small when the teams came out on Thursday and then confirmed on Friday. Just unbelievable. And, one of the knocks that I had on Chom last season was that he was able to present up the ground. He had a great set of hands. His tackling pressure was really, really good. His work rate was great, but he couldn't finish it off. Like, he played forward and he only kicked like 2 or 3 goals. In all the games he played last year. He went out round 8 with an injury against Melbourne. So for him to actually now be just at this new level, he's also played under 30 games as well. I think he's played 25, 26 games, which is crazy. It's actually insane to think about it. Like, Ben Mackay's replacement picked 3 goals in a quarter of football yesterday. Like, do you understand what this man is doing? It's actually
we've got a good
wild.
version of Josh Walker. This is wild. I'm joking.
Crazy. For those who are watching on YouTube and can see my face, sure, let's go with that. Good version of Josh Walker. No, I actually like Josh Walker. No disrespect. No, but it's just crazy. And like, we know what he's capable of in defense. We've always known he's had that talent. So throwing him back this season to work on his craft, to work on his confidence, and now he can take the elements that he needs up forward. Whether this is something that it continues beyond this week, whether we see it again next season. I know Clarko said eventually the plan was to play Chom up forward permanently, but he just outrageous yesterday. Just outrageous. Look, outside of the second quarter, didn't do heaps. Yes, he still played well and he was able to impact. He did get involved. He did take a few really nice marks, but it wasn't so much a 4-quarter performance as it was like this second quarter show. But that's all he needed to do yesterday. He played his role in a big, big way, and it was awesome to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, he hasn't really played forward this year. I think he had a quarter or so that he played forward when we were getting absolutely belted. But, you know, it's interesting. It throws up a very, very big question now. You know, we all went like, I'm glad he's getting continuity in the back line to he's got to stay in the back line now because he's been that good. Randomly, Clarko goes, hey, mate, off you go up forward and kick a bag. I don't know about you, Marnie, but when I saw that Chom was in the forward line, I blamed myself completely for likening him to Wayne Carey within a week of him moving back into the forward line. Now, I don't want to say that I did that, and I don't want to say that I'm the reason why that happened, but I'm pretty sure I am.
I'll say it. You're the reason why.
Thanks, Marnie. So, look, it's crazy. What do we do long term? I guess, you know, with Logue back, Core playing well, you know, does a Dawson come back in now? Interesting to see Toby Pink being dropped from that forward line. Maybe we'll chat about that in 1 second. But how do you feel? Let's go then. How do you feel about the mix of the forward line with Chom there, the dropping of Pink, and sort of the backline stability? Like, what do you think about the whole situation that we've got now?
Long term, I still think Chom's best position is defense.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Long term.
So I think that, yeah, long term, I still, and I don't know if people are going to agree with that or not, but he's been, and maybe we can't, like, we don't have enough of a sample size of him up forward at the moment to be able to make that call. But I just think what he's been able to do, he's been in our votes almost every single week between you and I. And I think a lot of like the way his career has completely changed in the shape of 11 games, 12 games, you know, playing down back, maybe a few more, compared to the one that he's played up forward. I don't know at this stage still if Callan Dawson is a long-term prospect. I think he's been solid for us this season. I've really loved what he's been able to do, and he's barely put a foot wrong. But Core and Logue playing in defense together, and I'm not biased on Core because he's been able to prove, sure, there's been up and down periods. He's had a sustained, how do I put it? I think he's proven a lot more in his career than Callan Dawson. And again, it's no disrespect to Callan Dawson because I think he's been great for us this year. But I think watching Logue and Core, the way they complement each other and the way they play so well together as sort of this 1-2 partnership, I could kind of see Charlie Comben coming back into the defense as that interceptor and as a bit of a floater rather than that like necessarily lockdown defender role, right? If he stays up forward, I also have no issue with it. And I think he adds a different dynamic to the forward line too, because he has that athletic ability. I think he reminds me of Jared Waite in the forward line. And I've said that pretty much since the start of last year. That's kind of where I see that. I'm still not sure at the moment where his best position will be long term. And I think the reason for that is not him, it's us at the moment still. I'm not sold on a forward or a defender that would push Comben to the other position, if that makes sense. So like I'm not 100% sold on Dawson as the third tall yet to push Chom forward. And I'm not 100% sold on any of Pink, Teakle, Callum Coleman, Jones. Long term I'm talking about. I'm not talking about in the short term because I think Teakle's a really great asset for us in the short term. Same with Toby Pink. Don't think either of them are long-term prospects. Don't know yet. So that's where my issue comes from. So it's going to a Chom. His issue is that he's too good of a player and he can play.
Come on, Chom. Be worse, mate. Don't be so good.
As he can up forward. It's more us at the moment. I just don't know where we sit long term as to where his best vision will be long term. But I have no doubt in the next 12 months we'll probably get more clarity on that one.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting. I think it all depends on where we recruit. Obviously we've got Luke Trainer, I think it is, in the draft, who's a big North fan and a key defender as well. So if Chom does succeed, I think Chom hinted at playing forward a lot for the rest of the season, especially with Logue back, which I think is probably the good option to trial him out. So, if there's nothing out there with our pick, I think the trade period's before the draft period. So it depends where we can recruit. If we can recruit a really good key forward somewhere, maybe Chum goes back. If we don't, maybe he goes forward, we draft Trainer. I think Teakle, Teakle's an all right prospect for the future. I think he's only 24. He's shown a lot in, under 10 games for us. I don't know how high his ceiling is. Obviously, he's a mid-season pickup for a reason. He maybe wasn't talented enough to stay on a list anywhere, but, we seem to be unlocking a little bit in him. So, I don't know what his ceiling is, but I obviously, and I know you didn't think this either, but wouldn't be dropping him anytime soon.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's just super interesting to know what we're going to do with that. We've got 4 minutes on the chat until we need to go to voice messages. Do you want to touch on Paul Curtis for the next minute or two?
Paul Curtis, probably his most complete game for us this season. I thought he was so impressive. His offense and his defense were equally strong. He obviously kicked 3 goals. His tackling pressure was up. He had a bit of the ball and he was able to kind of also contribute just to general play. I loved his game. I thought it was an unselfish game from him. While he still was able to have 3 goals of his own. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, no, he was really, really good. He has been a little bit quiet, I guess, since the bye. If anyone maybe has dropped since the bye, it's maybe Paul Curtis. Not dropped in a way that he's not playing very well, but maybe just a little bit down on what he was doing in the first half of the year. So I'm glad to see him doing that. And I think you're right. Our forward line definitely functioned the best it ever had. I think one of the stats I've got here was, and it's a negative stat on our forward line, but just wanted to throw it out there. Carlton went at 50% inside 50 disposal efficiency, and we went at 37%. So if we could ever get that up towards the 50% mark inside our 50 when our forward line is maybe being dynamic like it is, with Teakle sort of taking a player away from Larky leading into the space, Zerha being able to play that third forward and Curtis running amok up there. If we can ever enter that thing into our forward line efficiently, it would be fantastic. So maybe one day, but who knows?
Hey Josh, hey Marnie, Jen here. Great effort from the lads today. Lacked a little bit of polish, couple errors. If we fix that up, we'd probably win that game. Shout out to the VFLW team on winning the premiership. Well done, girls. Go Roos. And how good is Harry Sheezel?
Hey guys, Josh, Marnie, all you further north listeners, Jared from Tassie here. Umpires, Kerno, I just yelled obscenities around salary cap in 1995 and Carlton just being a fraudulent team. Anyway, I didn't use the word fraudulent, but Chom, kicking straight up front, delicious.
Free kick, Carlton.
Bit of a disappointing result that was, but you got to give it to the boys taking it up to a top team like Carlton. It was always going to be a challenge, but they really stuck in there. Shame, but once they get it going properly, get everything slick. They're going to be scary. All I have to say after that is, you're a wizard, Harry.
Oh, we just need some polish. Other than that, we played really well. CHOM forward. Oh my god. Fuck the umpires. They cost us at least 3 goals, but in the end it was our polish that cost us.
Hey guys, Jesse here. That was fucking frustrating, but the signs are good. We're getting better. On to next week.
Apologies, everybody. We've had some technical difficulties with the hotel Wi-Fi where I'm at. I completely blame myself, not Marnie's fault whatsoever. Marnie switched to the phone, though, and now I'm on the hotspot. So let's see if we can keep this train rolling. Apologies for any crackly audio, but hopefully it'll be better from now on.
We're trying so hard, guys. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. My beard's going to be grey by the end of this. I'm going to look like Adam Simpson after his tenure. So let's go to a couple of last bits of the forward line. We've finished on Paul Curtis before. Thank you to the voice messages. We should mention the voice messages because I'll put them in there. Thank you to everyone's voice messages. We say this every week. Well, I said this a couple of weeks ago. Jennifer's voice messages. Jen, seriously, I look forward to seeing your name pop up in the inbox every single week. Everybody else, no, we do love you just as much. We're joking.
We really appreciate everyone who sends in their voice memos every single week, Josh, don't we?
Yes, we do. No. Seriously, everyone actually does really, really well. And this week we do have some very spicy ones. I asked for hot takes, and you guys genuinely delivered. So fantastic. And look, let's not get cancelled. So anyway, forward line.
Paul Curtis, probably the biggest piece of play from him was late in the fourth quarter, late an enormous tackle. I can't remember which Carlton player it was on, an enormous tackle, which probably should have been dropping the ball. And it wasn't rewarded and it went up the other end. And the Blues were able to, I believe, score a goal, if not directly on the back of that, but not long after. I think free kicks late in this game are really going to be a hot discussion point. Should have been paid. Unfortunately, wasn't paid. And while I do think that it was very, very frustrating for all of us, I personally don't think that the free kicks, especially late in the game, decided the game. I know a lot of people want to run with that narrative, but on the flip side, you've got Eddie Ford missing a goal from basically point-blank range, which was just completely inexcusable. You cannot be doing that. He's a senior enough player that he should be kicking those goals. Liam Shields missed one late in the fourth as well. And then Griffin Logue and Colby McKercher both made some pretty critical errors up the other end, and they contributed to Carlton's goals as well. So, look, it's a tough pill to swallow when you feel like the umpires have had a significant influence on a game that we probably could have won, and that was Paul Curtis laid that tackle when there was only 7 points in it. Had he been rewarded for the tackle, gone back and kicked it, we're within a point, and that probably would have changed the script of the game. And it's, or it's a game of inches and number, and seconds. And unfortunately, this one didn't go our way. And it sucks, but I don't think that's the reason why we lost. And you can never really sit here and say that. I mean, we were up at halftime and there were definitely errors made and missed opportunities. But you can't talk about this game and not talk about those last couple of minutes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I mean, look, Eddie Ford tried to absolutely leather that thing. I think just dribble it through, mate. You know what I mean? But I get the excitement of the game and the occasion and all that sort of stuff. Look, I wrote a note down here. I'll just get it up. But I feel like, obviously in the last quarter we needed to go, and being the underdog and being the lesser team, we needed to absolutely go for it, like corridor football, high risk football. But that's when our skill errors started to show. So, I think it's worth the risk, I think, is my main point here. It's not excusing Eddie Ford's miss and on all that sort of stuff, but I think it's part and parcel of a young team needing to sort of really, really go for it. So
Absolutely.
Look, it just sort of is what it is. I think the misses inexcusable. You just got to be putting those through at the end of the day. They get paid to do that, but that type of football for a young side with where we're at, that is high risk football. And when you're as good as the Blues or other teams on that level, it comes off more times than not and you win some thrillers. But when it doesn't, you look like a squad of North Melbourne 19-year-olds who can't quite execute yet. But it'll come. But yeah, it did get a little bit sloppy in crunch time. But hey, one day we'll be there. One day
we'll get there. The signs are all there. And I mean, we challenged Carlton like few have this season. And I think we need to, I hate honourable losses. And I've said that so many times on this podcast, but credit where credit is due. That is, again, it's not an acceptable result, but it was a great performance for almost 4 quarters. And, we refined a few of those things in 12 months' time. We win that game. It's also really important to note we played Carlton already this year. We played them on Good Friday and they pumped us by nearly 10 goals. So the way we played and the way we stood up yesterday, especially when we were challenged, we didn't lie down. We just kept fighting and fighting. And so the progress from round 3 to round 19 is obvious, chalk and cheese. And so, we've at least got that to hang our hat on, and that is just confirmation that we are heading in the right direction. And, maybe this time next year we'll be able to, we'll claim those 4 points and we'll win that game.
Speaking of this time next year, I need to talk about someone in the midfield, Marnie. Is Harry Sheezel going to win the Brownlow next year or what?
Honestly, someone sent in a memo or a note to the podcast at the start of the year, a hot take that Harry Sheezel could make the All-Australian. And we aren't fucking around here. He could make the All-Australian side. He's actually not normal. Like what this guy is doing at 19 years old.
Yeah.
But superhuman. Like this is superhuman stuff we're talking here. It's crazy good. That guy. He is that guy. Harry Sheezel is that guy. He is that guy.
Yeah. He's a game winner. And he can do it off his own boot. 2 goals. He's got around the ball. He got leather poisoning. His contested work is underrated as well. And we know his hands are so clean. Best player on the ground. Probably. I don't think.
Well, he did take. He took 10 coaches' votes from yesterday's game. So there you go in a losing side.
Yeah, I mean if that doesn't scream 3 votes Harry Sheezel when the Brownlow comes, if it goes to Cripper and not Sheez, there's a conspiracy on our hands here, and I'll be going straight down to AFL HQ to demand answers because. Yeah, we've got a very, very special player on our hands here. And, I trust Clarkson. I think we're putting good pieces around him. I think we've done all the right things in the last couple of years to get this club back on track. You can see the performance is improving now. It's just patience, time, and keeping doing what we are doing because I think all North fans should feel like we're on a pretty good path, albeit, being a little bit maybe longer than people would want, especially after having 6 years of average footy. But as long as we get there, and then we'll have lifelong memories. I want to talk about George Wardlaw a little bit, Marnie, because
his partner in crime.
Well, I feel like, it's such an interesting Wardlaw performance. This is almost a vintage Wardlaw performance in the fact of didn't get heaps of touches, but everything the guy did around the ball was pretty good. I was going to say fantastic. I said pretty good. It's in the middle of that. It's really good. His tenacity at the football is scary. When we know this, but he's starting to break away from contests a little bit more. He's starting to put his head over it even more relentlessly. I just think on the day, almost like the Demons game, he wasn't like a standout in the Demons game, but he did every bit of dirty work, that we absolutely needed. I think his stats aren't eye-catching, but he was such an important cog in the engine room to chug this midfield to doing what it did. Because, I think I just want to sing his praises a little bit because, I don't think you look at that game and go, wow, Wardlaw, but he did some gritty stuff that really helped our team.
No, I do agree with you. And it was very much a workhorse performance from George Wardlaw rather than, the standout flashy stuff. Another player who really played his role yesterday, who we've criticised a lot in the past on this podcast, so I want to give him a shout out, was Bailey Scott. One of the best performances I've seen from him. He was going at about 86% disposal efficiency. He was in everything, kick to goal. He was a real playmaker yesterday, and he really benefited us when we were moving the ball down the ground, made some really smart decisions. And again, to also, to sneak up forward and to finish off a goal. I thought he was great yesterday. And I think he on one wing and Stevens on the other wing, I think both of them played their roles really, really well. And that's exactly what we need them to do. They're the two best runners in the side. That's why they're the wingers. And for them to be able to play both of them the way they did, they really complemented each other, didn't get in each other's way. And both had a significant impact to the game. So one of our best, I thought, as well, Bailey Scott. A lot, particularly in the first half of the year, his disposal has been atrocious. He's had a lot of the ball and hasn't done a whole lot with it, particularly when it comes to his kicking and just making really weird decisions and just no good, to be honest. And so I thought his performance was definitely worth a mention yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. He was everywhere, Bailey Scott. It's an interesting one because when I was watching the game, I was like, Bailey Scott's been everywhere. I just wanted to see like the impact in his touches. And I think he had a good mix of like getting around the ball a lot. But yeah, like you said, his disposal in the first, before the bye was pretty or very below par. So it's good to see him have a game like that against a big opposition. A little bit of contract talk around Bailey Scott recently. So hopefully an offer's on the table for him and he can stay because, he's been third now best and fairest like 2 or 3 years running, I think. So, I think I don't know if he was one of the best on the ground, but I was amazed to see how – oh, no, he was really, really good. I'm not saying he was in like the bottom half of our players, but look, not in the top 3 for me personally, but, the guy's engine and the tank to get around the ground and always be around contests and be an option, I think is really, really good. Speaking of a running partner for him, and I'm going to throw this guy in with the midfield group, even though he's maybe technically more playing out of defense, Colby McKercher. The guy's left foot is a wizard's wand. It is unbelievable. Now, every time, and we've said this before, there was an old player called Brent Harvey, Marnie, if you've heard of him, and every time he kicked the ball, I was like, don't stress. It's going to hit someone on the chest. We don't have to worry. He is so good by foot. If he tried to kick it out of bounds, it would swing and hit someone else on the chest, I swear. Tell me about Colby McKercher, Marnie. Tell me what you saw of this man in the ground because it would be absolutely mesmerizing watching this guy get the footy, take a bounce, take a few steps and kick it to somebody.
What I love about Colby McKercher is the confidence on that kid. It is one thing to have the skill and it's the second to hold your nerve and execute the way that McKercher does. And I think that's what makes McKercher such a special player, right? Is that it's not like there's plenty of talented players in that side. And maybe this is the difference between he and Will Phil. And Will Phil is a confidence player. We know, and we've spoken about him at length this season as well. But both of them equally talented, or I would say thereabout. But McKercher's he just backs himself in. He backs himself in every time. And if he fumbles, he just goes and tries to make amends. Like it's not that in him. His run. I mean, we haven't had a runner like this since Sean Atlee.
Oh, stop it, Marnie. I love Sean Atlee.
Sean Atlee was a great runner. He was just never allowed to run. So,
Tell that to Gavin Urquhart. Oh, no, wait. He was before Sean Atlee. That's fine. Oh, same time.
Yeah, he was. No. Sean Atlee, Urquhart was ending as Sean Atlee was sort of hitting his peak. Anyway.
Oh, what a crossover.
But also, like, Boomer's a really great reference. I mean, Boomer also was one he loved to take a couple of running bounces and take the game on. And what this guy's doing in his first season, and he missed a chunk of footy in the middle of the year as well. Again, special, really special. And I can and I don't want to disrespect Dersma because I do see Dersma part of our future. But there's got to be a reason why McKercher's in the side and Dersma's not in the side. And I don't think it's Robert Hansen Jr.,
That's a good call, actually. I never thought about it like that.
You know what I mean? Like Hansen Jr. played yesterday and Stevenson's had a fair run and, Ford's more pushing up now, a little bit higher up the ground, but he was playing a bit deeper at parts of the season. So there's definitely been opportunity, and Dersma has played this season. But maybe Dersma's a bit lazy. Maybe Dersma just the work rate's not there right now, and there's a reason why he's in the 2s and McKercher's straight back into the 1s as soon as he's available from injury. This is the number 3 and 4 draft, 3 and 4 draft pick. Yeah. We're not talking about someone who went at pick 3 and someone who went at pick 23. They were taken together essentially as like a package deal. So I'd love to know what's going on there, but that's a conversation for another day. Right now, talking about Colton McKercher, he's fearless. He backs himself in. He's confident, and he's contributing in a big way.
Yeah, Look, I think Dersma, and I know you think this too. Dersma long term, I think is going to be fine. His sort of position, especially with the forward line, maybe functioning how it is. I know Hansen Jr. is a very different sort of player than a Dersma, but you're right. Like, it is interesting. I never thought about it like that. Why is Hansen Jr. getting a run over a Dersma? But Hansen Jr. has been pretty decent in the VFL as well, or at least popping up and kicking goals. So hey, at least he deserved. I
think Hansen Jr. deserved to play yesterday, and we haven't really spoken about him, to be honest. But I just thought outside of his one goal, he didn't really
very minimal.
Happy to give him another shot. Happy to give him another chance, but if he dishes up another performance like that, I'd be playing somebody else over him. Simple as that. Might sound harsh, but I just think that you've got to offer something more than one goal. He just sort of struggled to get involved, in my opinion. But yeah, look, I don't know. Long term, I think Dersma will be playing in that position, is what I'm trying to get at. And maybe he's not ready, and maybe he needs a bit more time. That's fine. But it's just sort of, it's been a very different path for he and McKercher this season.
Let's lump a few midfielders in together here then. Let's talk about our midfield group. I'm just going to read out some of the centre bounce attendances here. So LDU, 28 CBAs, clearly, obviously, our best midfield out. Him or Sheezel, you can take your pick. She's on the day, but look, they're both very, very talented. But a good mix with Simpkin and Wardlaw, Sheezel, Powell as well. Powell got 15, Sheezel 16, Wardlaw 19. Shout out to Jai Simpkin as well. I think he's put a really good patch of form together. Not outstanding, but I said something a few weeks ago that he's been a really good complement to our Sheezel, Wardlaw, LDU 3-star midfielders. And if he can just complement them and be that fourth midfielder, him or Powell on the day, we're going to have a pretty good group. He's getting a lot of centre bounce attendances recently, and I think his toughness around the ball and willingness to get into the contest, he put some big bumps, tackles and pressure acts on yesterday. And I think he's been a little bit unsung, but it's probably because Sheezel and LDU have been so bright. But I think we're finding a really good balance of those midfielders, like it's such a good even spread of centre bounce attendances. Other than that, there's not really anyone else who went in there. I like that the midfielders are playing in the midfield, but we've got, 5 to 6 midfielders rotating through, along with, Sherry and Teakle taking some ruck duties.
God, Tom Powell's so strong. He's also just had an incredible season, I think, overall. I've loved what he's been able to put together. And you're right, and we've spoken about this before, you need workhorse types in the side to allow the superstars to shine. So you need the Powers and the Simpkins in there to allow the LDUs and the Sheezels and the Wardlaws to shine. I do want to just touch on Simpkin. I do agree with you. He's put a really great patch of form together. I thought both captains were excellent yesterday. I thought Luke McDonald, and we'll talk about the back line, but while we're talking about captains, both of them very, very captain performances. I thought that Luke McDonald stood up as well. I think Simpkin set the tone early, and he did that last week as well. And the week, he's done that probably basically since the bye. He's really fast start. He's been able to sustain that in some games and not in others, but then others have been able to step up. And yesterday I thought he was one that really set the tone early, and then it was Sheezel and LDU or Bailey Scott, when they worked their way into the game, they were able to kind of take over and take the reins. But I think both captains yesterday for me really, really stood up. Luke McDonald was really brave in defence, and Carlton did go with a smaller forward, well, smaller around the ground, but a smaller forward line than normal as well. And I thought that, yeah, it was nice and it worked really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're the guys we want in there as well. I'd say there's not really a midfielder maybe in the twos that's screaming to get into this mix as well. So I'm glad that this group is playing really solid and they're putting together. They're a good unit, because you need that to, well, I'm not going to say win premierships right now, but we've got a really strong midfield unit. We're going to win a premiership. So we're winning it this year. Yes. Not me.
Thank you.
Yes. You've worn off on me, Marnie, and I'm the delusional one now. You need to calm me down. Speaking of the midfield group, my guy, and I've never doubted him in his entire career, Tristan Xerri. The helmet himself, Marnie. And quick side note, we've got a lot of messages about people buying helmets and asking for tickets about the helmet game that's coming up. So I'll just touch on this quickly now. Against Richmond, round 21, 3rd of August, we've posted up a lot of areas where you can get helmets, Wish or Amazon, sports stores, Facebook Marketplace. Get a helmet however you can and get down to Bay 29. If you cannot get into Bay 29, please buy tickets in the bay to the left of Bay 29. I don't know if that will be 30 or 28. No idea, because I don't know the layout of the ground. But we're going to try and all be together for this. We've got so many people messaging saying they've got their helmets. So many people asking where to get helmets and then saying, hey, I got it. So I think we're going to have a Xerri army down at this game. So that's going to be very, very fun.
I think we'll try and get, like, maybe before the game, everyone to come and catch up before, whether it's at Bay 29 or somewhere in the vicinity, just so everyone can kind of, see the magic that we've been able to.
Yeah, get some photos, get some content as well.
Definitely, I think so. We'll organise that. We haven't spoken about this. I've just said it. So Josh and I will talk about that, and we'll get back to you in the next couple of weeks with that.
Yeah. No, look, Marnie said it now, so that means it's happening. Once again, we compromised and did what Marnie wanted. So just the usual agreement, which is fantastic. So some stats from the helmet himself. 10 tackles, which it should be good, but for him, average game, because he usually is just like a tackling machine. But so many tackles, 11 clearances as well, which is wild. And I have the stats here for the hitouts. I know it's not all him, but we won the hitouts 47-21 on the day, which is insane. It didn't maybe translate to dominance in clearance, but I like that we're getting the tap and at least getting first use or first option, hopefully. So, look, this guy has. We've been saying for so long, but I can't believe the turnaround on Tristan last season to this season. It's probably the biggest turnaround of form in AFL history, and I'm glad he's our ruckman.
No, me too. And it's, earlier in the year, we announced that we had extended his contract for 4 seasons. And I was like, that kind of seems a bit overkill. But obviously sitting here now, it's one of the best decisions we ever made. And I'm so glad for him, as well as us, but I'm so glad for him, the turnaround in form and how he's clearly been able to just find that freedom and really just take ownership of the ruck role with Goldie not being there. Look, Tom De Koning is an incredibly damaging player. And in my opinion, when he was on the ground, so he went off for periods of time with injuries and has come out that he's got a broken rib and a fractured foot. So he won't, he's done up until the finals now. So that probably helped Xerri. And when De Koning was playing in the ruck, he was very influential. He was kind of taking a lot of the clearances for himself, but he was, in my opinion, the difference when he was on the ground. So when Mackay was in the ruck, and at times Xerri really did dominate the ruck battle. So I don't want to take anything away from Sherry's game. It was a little bit of a weird one on Carlton's end because they only went with the one ruckman as well, who then was injured for half the game. But credit where credit's due, and Xerri absolutely made the most of that situation and made that game his own. And it was another. He's a Hulk. he's a Hulk, and that's the kind of ruckman that he is. He's not the agile ruckman like a Brodie Grundy or a Tom DeConning. He's, the big raging Hulk. So, full credit to him. It was another vintage Helmet Sherry performance.
Yes, a vintage Sherry performance for sure. It's crazy in 2024 that, tagging's back and the big burly ruckman is back as well. What kind of a world are we living in? I feel like we've gone back in time about 30 years, but hey, I'm here for it because big, strong players were always my favorite growing up. I mean, if you want to name an opposition player, like I loved watching like Jono Brown and players like that go about it. So look, any big burly bloke that's running around in a helmet smashing people, I'm going to get behind. One person you've written a note here about, Marnie, is about a sub and Liam Sheez. You didn't think it was the right call.
Oh my God, you actually read my mind because that's exactly what I was going to say before we move on. Speaking of taggers, I don't think this was the right call yesterday. I love Liam Sheez, and I've been such an advocate for him since coming over to North. But
we'll never forget his tag job to win our first game this year.
Well, playing as the tagger is one thing, but playing as the sub and not really impacting the game at all is another.
Yeah, well, here's a question quickly then. Like, what do you think they see? Because I said this to you earlier in the year, right, about I feel like these teams get the sub rule wrong. I feel like a Greenwood, which we think can play midfield and be a big bruiser but can push forward or whatever, or even when like a Toby Pink was the sub, or like having a more versatile forward or back player as the sub. Why don't people go like that? Because I don't really believe that midfielders really impact games with a quarter to play. I know we had that, Dylan Stevens in the Melbourne game came on and basically won us the game. I think it was 14 touches in the last quarter. So there are periods of it.
We didn't win that game, Josh.
Okay, sorry, but his performance nearly won us the game. Sorry, it was a win. It was a win in my head. I forgot that was when we were losing a lot of games. Now we're amazing.
That's where we're at, guys.
That's where we're at. Hey, I've seen one win in person in 6 years, Marnie. Get off my back. Let me have this. It was a win, okay? So, I know there are times that these sort of players can affect games, but I feel like it's kind of rare, and I'm surprised that players or teams don't go with different styles of players as the subs. What do you think Liam Sheez could have offered? What do you think that Clarkson went, Sheez is going to be the sub and he's going to come on and play this role? Do you think it's just tagging? Or because I'm not sure why you'd bring a tagger on that late in the game unless we're tagging someone and someone's tired.
It wouldn't have been as a tagger. But Liam Sheez is a very defensive midfielder. His tackling is elite. It's the 1%ers, it's the work rate, and it's the pressure. And so I think in a game like that, it's actually a good sub because I think the way the game was played, it was a pretty high pressure game. And I think he definitely should have added a lot. He just didn't get involved in the game. I don't really know what happened. Theoretically speaking, he actually was a great sub yesterday. And he's probably exactly the kind of player, he would have been able to pressure Carlton's midfielders. I mean, Patrick Cripps and Sam Walsh were running amok at times. So I think that he definitely would have been able to contribute to that, maybe not necessarily a complete shutdown role, but be that in and under player. It's going after the hard ball, it's tackling, it's pressure, it's all that sort of thing. But he just he wasn't really able to bring bring himself into the game. So in hindsight, I don't know if it was the right call.
Yeah.
In the heat of the game, great call. Could not execute. So that's kind of the way I kind of see Liam Sheez yesterday, which was a shame because I do love Liam Sheez. I miss Hugh Greenwood. Bring him back.
Sorry to bring up Hugh Greenwood's name before, Marnie. I know that's an emotional topic. Why do you think Zach Fisher was subbed off? Do you think because I don't think there's an injury or anything like that, and maybe it's because Colby's there.
It was tactical. I thought Fish played well. But maybe they wanted to add in the defensive element. And, Fish is an attacking defender, same way Colby McKercher is. And Colby McKercher probably had the better of the two. So maybe just for balance and maybe just to try and win some of the ball back on our terms, that's why they did it. But McKercher and Fisher are very similar players. And McKercher
played, and Fisher played well up until that point as well. I don't think it was a matter of one playing badly. It's just one was playing better than the other. So I think we just stuck with the one that was playing better.
Okay, well, that's fair.
That's what I think.
What we might do now, let's go to, we're going to do another batch of voice messages, and then we're going to come back, talk about the forward line, Sean Utley Club Champ and all that fun stuff, and then we'll finish the pod. So we're going to head off to the voice messages now. Enjoy them, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Bye.
You feel that? You feel that energy? If you can't, you better check your pulse. North play like that next week, they're easily beating Geelong. I can't wait. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Marnie. Yeah, look, absolutely gutted by that. I think we were really a chance there, but look, we're super proud of the boys, super proud of what they did. Just a shame that the whistle didn't blow our way today.
Marnes, Josh, it's Harley here. All I can say is great effort by the guys. Absolutely loving the Chumbawamba up forward. Free kick Carlton. Free fucking kick Carlton. What else? Come on, Bruce. Jackson Archer, you superstar. You absolute superstar. Chom and Archer, Wardlaw, Sheezel, the amount of oomph they've got in it, like, we've got a good, strong future ahead.
Hey, Josh and Marnie, it's Paul here again. Just got back from the game. Very proud of the boys. We fought out again. Chom, full centre forward to centre back. Something to ponder. Great to see Griff back. Go Roos.
Equal parts proud of the total effort, screaming at the maggots, and pulling my hair out at stupid mistakes. Anyway, so good compared to the insipid floggings of a few years.
Carlton are the most protected species in the fucking world. I'm so over this game. I can't do it anymore.
All right. Thank you to everyone who sent those batch of voice messages in. Fantastic job once again. Some very, very funny ones. We love your contribution. So please, everyone, every week we want heaps of these. We would like to break the podcast up even more and put more of your voices on the pod. furthernorthpod@gmail.com. You guys know what it is. Okay. I was going to say forward line. Don't worry. It's actually the back line. My bad. Now, Marnie.
We've gone rogue tonight, Josh. It's,
look, I'm basically on the other side of the world. Yeah. Look, I understand. Brisbane is basically the other side of the world. So I am backwards right now, and I don't know what we're doing. I think the water flows the opposite way in the toilet right now because we're in a different hemisphere. Jackson Archer. I thought Jackson Archer's game was fantastic. Now, I feel like, is this a Josh thought he was good, or Josh thought he was amazing and he was just good thing? Or like, because I haven't seen anyone else talk about his game. And I think he had a couple of fumbles and a couple of moments where I think he should have been better. But I think he was great yesterday. The intercepting he's brought into his game, and just the ability to astound his opponent. And we criticised him maybe a couple of months ago for over committing to the ball and running past and getting beaten. And I haven't seen that happen to him for a long time. But adding that intercept game, there was a couple he dropped and a couple maybe he jumped a little late and jumped under the ball a little bit. But I'm almost as happy he's in those positions, and he did clunk a lot of intercepts as well. Did you sort of see it that way? I'm going to try and find his intercept numbers here because I don't know. I just thought he was really, really good yesterday. What did you think?
I thought he played well. Don't think it was. I think he's had probably more performances better than that so far this season.
Just 8 intercept possessions he had all up, and that's what I saw while I was watching. I was like, he's intercepting everything. So 8 intercepts, and that's the most for our entire team, and the most on the ground was 10.
Good set of hands. And I love something I love about Darcy Tucker, which I love about Jacko as well, fearless. Like, will always go after the hard ball, always go after his own ball, the second, the third attempts. I thought he was good yesterday. A couple of the Carlton small forwards did kind of get let off the leash a little bit. I think you've got – hey, Daniela. I think you've got
Daniela, Marnie says hello. For those listening, my partner Daniela just walked behind in the hotel, so I'm recording it.
Jesse Motlop kicked 3. I think Owi's kicked a couple. Fogg kicked a couple. So again, you've got, and their small forwards are quite dangerous. Carlton's when they're all kind of up and about and lively. So thought he played well. Don't think it was a dominating performance like he's had at different points this season, but great set of hands as well, which is what I love about Jackson Archer. And yeah, like really happy just to go, like always like a contest, always happy to go after the hard ball. So loved that from him. I'm going to talk about the reincarnation of God.
Oh, no. Go on, Marnie.
Is there a better player in the AFL than Aiden Core?
Oh.
I don't think there is.
Well, I mean, we did talk about Harry Sheezel before. Charlie Comben also kicked 3. Griffin Logue's return was really good. LDU's been incredibly good. Tristan Sherry, he's pretty good ruckman. Aiden Core was very good. Go on.
Guys, the lesson from tonight's podcast is don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, that's true. Marnie's done this her whole North Melbourne supporting life. It started with Pittard. It's continued with Greenwood. It's now Aiden Core. I wonder, and it sounds disrespectful, but I don't mean this at all. Like what mid-tier North Melbourne player, and Aiden Core's been very, very good, but I wonder what the next generation of like mid-tier players, what 19-year-old do I think will be a solid player, but not a great player? Because that's the one that Marnie will fixate on. I want to, you know what? Here we go. In the comments, predict Marnie's next badge she will buy because she's got Pittard, Greenwood, and Aiden Core. So predict Marnie's next badge she'll buy.
I have a couple in mind, but they're not. I don't want to give anything away. So let's see what the people think. My other guy is Darcy Tucker. So
oh yeah, well that screams mid-tier North Melbourne
I won't be buying a Darcy Tucker badge. It takes a special someone to make it as a badge. I've only got 4. I've got 5 badges and 4 players. So we've got Pittard, 2 Hugh Greenwood badges.
Wow.
Aiden Core, Charlie Comben. They're the badges I've currently got on my scarf.
I've been trying to get a Charlie Comben badge for like 2 months and they're just always sold out.
That sounds like a you problem, Josh. I got in before he was popular.
Wow.
Okay, back to Aiden Core, please.
Oh, thank God.
Very unlucky. So he played on Harry Mackay. Very unlucky that Harry Mackay kicked 2 goals. 1 goal was a complete fluke. He was able just to kind of like, the ball kind of just fell to the floor and H just took it and kicked this miraculous goal of 1 step. And then the other was, I don't know if it was a free kick or it was a mark. I don't know. But again, Aiden Core probably got let up the hook a little bit yesterday, I will say, because H did have to go and take the ruck contests at times when DeConning was off the ground. But that guy.
Didn't Mackay get concussed or something like that as well? He was off the ground for a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah,
or they didn't take him off straight away or something?
They cleared him today of concussion, so no concussion.
Yeah.
But he also had a knock. He also was off for a portion of the game. Sorry. So, look, I mean, things did work in Aiden Core's favour yesterday, but he still had a very good game, and he's still, I think he went to Jack Carroll maybe for other portions of the game while Mackay was either off or in the ruck, and did a great job on him as well. Carlton did have they only had 2 forwards because they only played with one ruck. So usually it's DeConning and Pitnet would rotate through the forward line, but neither of them did that yesterday. So look, and there was no Zach Williams either, who was injured. So I know way too much about Carlton. So it worked in our favour, I think, and it definitely worked well. It worked well in Aiden Core's favour as well. But you've got to just make the most of what you're presented with, and he did once again. He hasn't really put a foot wrong since the St Kilda game. So there you go, guys.
Well, just like I'm a football genius on Dylan Stevens, Marnie is a football genius on Aiden Core. No, he was good. You can only play with the cards you're dealt, and he played them very well once again. Good on him. I would like to talk about his partner in crime, the return of Griffin Logue. Now, I don't know. Is there a harder task in football than coming off an ACL injury, a year out of the game, and your first game back is on the best forward in the league by a mile? The guy's has he won 3 or is about to win 3 Colemans? It's one or the other.
Could win a third row, yeah.
Yeah, trust you to know. So Griffin Logue, one, Griffin Logue could be the reason that we have the next Wayne Carey and Charlie Comben. And two, he did a really, really good job. And you said at the start of the pod that, Charlie Curnow is that sort of player that if he kicks 4, he's arguably had a very mid-tier game. He's so dangerous and obviously, maybe not this game, but does love a free kick in front of goal. But he's a damaging forward nonetheless. So what did you make of Griff's return? I think it's incredibly solid. 3 games in the VFL after a year out, and he comes back and plays on the best forward we've seen for a while. Outstanding effort.
Yeah, he was awesome. He had 11 spoils. And like I said, you can still, you can play on Charlie Curnow and still you can play a good game, but Charlie can still kick 4. I mean, that's the kind of guy Charlie is. I have to actually owe Griffin Logue an apology because I've never said it. I've just thought it in my mind, and he completely,
Breaking news. I haven't even heard this.
No, we've had this narrative all season. Oh, we'll be so much better when Griff comes back, and he's such an important player, and that sort of thing. And the way the defense has been sort of standing up this season against arguably all odds, with Griff being sidelined and Mackay obviously going to Essendon, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, bloody hell, you've got Dawson playing really well. Chom, phenomenal. Poor, slow start to the year, but once he hit his straps, now he's the best player in the AFL, obviously. Casually throw that in there.
Yeah. For those on YouTube, just look at Marnie's face when she said that. There wasn't a smile. Not even her eye didn't even twitch. It's just like the most normal sentence she's ever said in her entire life. That's her equivalent of saying Gary Ablett was also really good. So, those players are on the same level in Marnie's mind.
Anyway, don't make me laugh.
Sorry, I'm just too funny. I'm as funny as Aiden Corey's good at football.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. Definitely. So I'm sitting here thinking, God, is Griff really going to make that big of a difference to this backline? Sure, he's a great player, and I've got no doubt he'll be an asset and a good contributor when he comes back. But God, I was so wrong at how important this guy is. And like I said at the top of the pod, he also made Aiden Core play a better game. He and Core worked so well as a 1-2. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he goes for the rest of the year, because he barely looked like he skipped a beat. He actually looked a little bit ginger a couple of times, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, shit, not again. Don't tell me he's just hurt himself again. But I think it's obviously first game back, just trying to, at top level, and trying to kind of get himself back. But he didn't look like he missed a beat yesterday. Bravo, Griffin Logue. A great return.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see a player come back. Do we now, with maybe modern medicine, do we underestimate the ability of a player coming back, from an ACL these days? Because it's pretty crazy to me that someone can come back and play that well off a knee injury. And a year out of football is so long, not getting hit the same, not being in a pack marking contest, not being in those situations where you've got to make quick decisions. Yeah, I'm just really happy, but also almost shocked of how comfortable and well he played, because, he didn't look like he really skipped a beat at all, did he?
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think that the way the backline played yesterday as a unit as well, because I think for the most part they stood up really well. I wonder now where that leaves Callan Dawson.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, one, it's good to know that Ben Mackay was the problem and now we have a fantastic defense. But also, let's maybe chat about that. There's not really much more to talk about for the defense from my point of view, unless you want to throw something in. But maybe let's chat about the omission of a Pink and a Dawson. How did you feel when those guys were out? Were you worried? Obviously, I don't think you said you heard a little bit of a whisper that Charlie was going forward. I didn't at all. I really wondered how the side would be structured, to be honest with you, because I think Charlie was playing that well. I think they're crazy to move him from the back line, but, clearly anything's possible. How did you feel about Pink and Dawson both going out of the side?
Yeah, we sort of spoke about, the structure of the side at the top of the pod. I don't want to be disrespectful.
It's an honest podcast, Marnie.
And I don't. I think it's probably too early to tell 100% on Dawson, but at the moment, I don't see either of these two as long-term prospects.
It's interesting. You don't think Dawson? I know Dawson's what, 26, I think. That there's plenty of time, especially as a key position player. I put Dawson and Teakle in that same bracket of age, both mid-season picks, both clearly looked over in drafts and that sort of stuff. But I feel like we're getting the most out of them. It depends, I guess, how quickly the side evolves, because if the side is slow and takes 3 to 5 years to get into the finals still, they could play 100 game, maybe not a Toby Pink or something, but could they play 50 to 70 games? Does someone get to 100 if they play for 5 years and then we let them go? But I don't know. I just feel like I see a little bit more in those two than maybe you do.
I don't have a decision firm on Dawson. I definitely feel this way about Toby Pink, and I really like Toby Pink as a person. And I think what he's been able to do this year, he's definitely had some great moments, and he definitely has a role to play.
He has an aura about him, though. We love Toby.
And while he's playing that role, I'm happy. I just think that we will be able to find players who can replace them, be it
I agree.
through the draft, be it through right? Whereas someone like Logue or someone like Core, or on the other end of the scale, someone like Charlie Comben, whether he plays back or forward, their best is good enough to take us to the back up the ladder towards finals and towards a premiership, right? And I think they all are the best in their position as it stands, right? The same way someone like Harry Sheezel or LDU or George Wardlaw are as well.
Yeah.
I think that Logue, Core, Larky, Comben could all make up a premiership 22 or 23. Pink doesn't for me, and Dawson at this stage doesn't for me either. I'm not saying they never will. It's the same with Teakle. I'm not saying they never will get there, but as it stands, those three I don't see in the same way that I see the others.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I understand it completely. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, look, at this point in time, I'm probably the same. I agree that maybe long term, are they there? But I guess I see a little bit more development potential. Teakle is probably the number one for me. He's only 24 years old, and I guess look at the age that Sherry is. Starting to put his name on the scene. Yeah. He might be a couple of years away from being able to be that really good ruck forward. That I'm not saying he's going to be as good as a Luke Jackson, but could he be a Rory Lobb or someone like that? Someone who can contribute at a higher level.
Yeah.
I see a lot of potential in Teakle with age and what he's been able to do in the team. Dawson, I think I agree. I think he's a really solid option to have. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but there's a chance he might be hitting it now. Pink, as much as the Close to a Flag boys love Toby Pink, and I don't maybe see the ceiling on him, as much as those other two. Then you talk about Will Dawson's. Then you talk about, if we get a trainer in the draft and that sort of stuff as well. Biggie Newen is there that I think would say has a higher ceiling than Pink, but a lower floor than Pink as well, because I think Biggie's a bit more of a wild card. Look, at the end of the day, we've got options of players we want to give opportunities, and I think that is good. But yeah, I think you're sort of on the money. Do you want to talk about the umpiring a little bit before we go to Sean Atley Club Champ?
Not much more I really want to say on this, because I never believed that umpires have 100% control over a result. I think there were definitely some dubious calls made. I think there was definitely some calls missed. But I know Carlton supporters would argue the same. They would think that North got away with a lot more than they should have, and probably, we all think that most weeks about our sides. In terms of umpires impacting the result, they had the ability to make calls that could have changed the game, and the Paul Curtis one is the obvious one for me, and then the two Carlton free kicks that it killed the game, but I don't know if it decided the game. Like you said, we played this high risk, high reward sort of footy, when the game was on the line and we just weren't good enough to execute. So that's kind of all I've got more to say on that.
Yeah, I think for me, look, there was definitely 2 or 3 calls in very crucial areas that I think are always going to go the bigger team's way in that scenario. And it's a subconscious bias for me. And I've talked about this on the pod a lot. And I believe it's true that there's, it's like when Dacos throws the ball like he's playing Origin in front of the goal, against Collingwood. I'm not saying the umpires ignored that because it's Collingwood. What I'm saying is they looked at that and went, it's Nick Dacos. So he probably got the hands off, even though he didn't. And they're more likely to get those. The Blues being a big team, skillful, good players, they're just subconsciously going to get rewarded more for being that up and about big team. And I think in those big moments, it's very rare. I'm thinking across all games I watch, it's very rare for the underdog or the smaller team to get those 50-50 calls when it comes down to it in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So I think it just comes down to the superstar call for the Dacoses are the same that the bigger teams get as well. Look, people can look at that and say it's salty North fans, we're small, blah, blah, blah. But I think in reality, it's pretty true. And I think that's just the beneficiary of being a bigger team, because the narrative's there, the hype, the crowd, the players are more skillful, so you're not maybe going to punish them as much because they're probably better. Lots of things go into it. I think our skill errors and failure to execute basic skills definitely lost us the game more than that. But it's not how many because the free kick count was 27 to them and 22 to us. So it's not a massive disparity over a whole game of football. But like we said a year ago in the Good Friday game, Charlie Curnow, I think, got about 3 free kicks, but they were in the goals. It's where the free kicks are because the free kick count in that game was very, very similar, but ours were all running off our half back line or, someone pushing us over in our back line where, the Blues last year were getting rewarded within the 50-metre arc a lot, and we sort of see that a lot. But, hey, I don't think the umpires decided the game. I think they were poor. Umpiring's poor in general since the bye, to be honest. It's the worst it's ever been. And that's not something we'll talk about now because then we'll never stop. But no one knows what holding the ball is. No one knows what deliberate out of bounds is. No one knows what anything is. Stand rule is.
It's hard to know as a fan.
We're just here to watch and be confused.
Great. We're doing a great job of it then.
Absolutely. Sean Alley Club Champ, let's go. I'll say my 3 and then you say your 3 and we're going to have a debate and see if we can figure out 3, 2, 1. So I've put Harry Sheezel number 1. Gut tells me we're probably on the same page there. I put Archer number 2, which I think for you will be controversial, but I thought he was fantastic personally. And especially with Charlie Comben being out of that defense, getting the most intercepts possessions for us, I think was massive with our best interceptor out. I really debated this third one. I've put Nick Larkey because I loved his marking presence around the ground, and I think it was like a massive step up from anything I've seen him do. Jerry wasn't really taking marks around the ground. Teakle maybe wasn't as well as much, and I just think his ability to push back, he took a few in the middle of the ground as well and presented really well forward. I liked what he did. Jerry as well, I think he was great. You could absolutely give him a vote. Scott, I put on there as well, and LDU. I think they all deserve. I wouldn't be mad if Jerry is in there. Larkey, I think, was good. Larkey and Sherry for me are the 2 that I could give 1 vote to each. So let me know yours and let's see if we can work this out.
I think we've undersold LDU's game.
We're just so used to him doing that though, aren't we?
I think also post-bye, he's just completely changed gear. So I think he had lesser number, but great impact. I don't know. I'm kind of second guessing. So I've gone Sheezel 3, obviously. I've gone Paul Curtis with 2. I just think that his was a very complete game and I loved what he was able to bring and obviously kicked 3 goals, which was equal highest for North. And then I've gone 1 vote for Bailey Scott. I've also put Dylan Stevens in here. I really liked his game. He just teed it off. Like he started strong and then just sort of died out as the game went on. So that's why I had Stevens initially, but I've gone Scott instead because I think Scott as well had a more complete game. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe LDU in there somewhere. I don't know. I'm
Can
kind
I
of
throw out
sold on my.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think Archer should get 2 votes, so I'm going to veto that. He can go. He can have 1 vote. I just don't think he played well enough to go for to get the 2 votes, in my opinion.
Was Sherry or LDU better?
Oh,
because
I don't know.
See, my head's changing now too. Like now I'm like, okay, now I'm thinking about it. 11 clearances, 10 tackles for Sherry. You know, maybe he gets, if you're going to veto Archer to 1, I feel a bit then Larky, but I feel like I'm putting Larky in there maybe just because I liked the difference. I like him building his marking game, but maybe I guess it wasn't like a vintage Larky game.
Yeah, no, I don't think Larky's game was vote worthy.
Okay.
I thought he played well. I don't think he wasn't our best forward even.
No, I agree.
I think Paul Curtis was our best forward.
Okay, so let's say no votes for Larky. I'm going to veto Scott. I think those other guys, personally think those other guys are better than Bailey Scott. So let's go Sheezel 1. Oh, sorry, Sheezel 3. Let's go. We'll go Archer 1, and I think we pick between Sherry and LDU for 2.
What about Paul Curtis?
Oh, yeah.
You got to disregard my vote.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Wow, okay.
Okay. I think I would put Sherry over Paul Curtis, but give me your argument.
So then you go 3 Sheezel, 2 Sherry, and 1 Paul Curtis. Because Paul Curtis is better than Archer.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair. Sheezel 3, Sherry 2, Paul Curtis 1. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to write that down. She's 3.
Is that a happy compromise?
I think so.
Talk about Sherry coming very far left.
Coming out of nowhere. Wasn't in the 3.
We are going so rogue tonight, guys.
Look, we're not beside each other to keep each other in check. This is absolute chaos.
No.
This is what thousands of kilometers of distance does. It's withdrawal symptoms right now. My brain's not functioning properly. So, okay, yeah.
So I'm counting down the days until you're back.
I know. I'm getting emotional as we speak. She's Sherry Curtis. Deal?
Done. Deal.
Okay.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Wow. Hopefully everyone else agrees with that. That's going to be a controversial one. Please, when we post up the Club Champ votes, please comment below what we got wrong or who we got right, what you would put. We love the contribution because it's always so interesting to see. Everyone always would have 3 votes. Coming together and doing it, both of us to decide 3 has actually been quite tough. Some weeks we're like, oh yeah, easy. And then other weeks we're like, oh, this is really, really hard. So it's always interesting to see what you guys would put. Clearly,
it's funny.
You go.
No, I was saying what's funny is for weeks people have been criticizing us because we haven't put Sherry in the votes, but we've put Sherry in the votes today.
He's up there. Let me look at the Club Champ leaderboard, and then we'll finish this podcast. So Sherry just got 2 votes. So he's now equal third. Wardlaw, Sheezel, and Sherry all have 10 votes currently. LDU at the top with 15 and Combin with 11. So it's tight at the top.
Sheezel's just got the 3. So he would
he did 2. So he'll go second with 13. Yeah. Paul Curtis now is 7. So he's 6th as well. So it's a much tighter Sean Atlee Club Champ series or vote this year as well. We've got a lot of players on a lot of votes. Marnie, do a little bit of a spiel. Let me add while I add up these votes, and then I'll read out the leaderboard. But start saying goodbye and promoting stuff if we need, please.
Guys, thank you if you made it to the end of this extremely rogue episode of Further North. Josh and I will be back together next week to review the Cats game. But before that, he will jump on the preview pod that will be out on Friday. For those who need to keep up with us before then, you can catch us on socials, Further North Pod, across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Again, thank you everyone who sent in your voice memos. You know, we play them every single week on the show. We love hearing from you guys. So please send all your very best takes to furthernorthpod@gmail.com. If you want to send Josh any fan mail, any love letters, send it to the email as well. And again, for those who did make it to the end of this week's podcast, thank you again. Made it through all the bad audio and technical difficulties. How did I do?
No, that was very, very good. Also, helmet game, 3rd of August, round 21 against Richmond. Get your helmets. There's still enough time. We want as many in the Sherry Army as we possibly can. Now,
yes, please.
I'm going to read out this leaderboard for the Shaun Atley Club champ because Sheezel ran away with it last year, and we've got a fight on our hands here. So
here we go.
LDU with 15, then Sheezel 13, Comben 11, Wardlaw 10, Sherry 10, McKercher 9, Curtis 8, Archer 6, Zerha 4, Powell 4, Core 3, Simpkin 3, Tucker 3, Larky 2, Paul from Larky, Ford 2, Dawson 2, early season form, and Fisher 2. They're all the players with votes this season.
Shout out Aiden Core and Darcy Tucker. How they've managed to get 3 votes each, with Josh being one of the 2 hosts of Further North. I'll never know.
I've been nice to Aiden Core since the bye.
You have.
All right.
I appreciate it.
I've had enough, Marnie. I need to go and edit a lot of this and see if I can make this as coherent as possible. Good luck.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday, Josh. I miss you. I can't wait to see you on the weekend when you are back in Melbourne.
Thank you, Marnie. What do you think I'll look like with a tan when I get back too?
You'll be glowing as you roll into the celebrations on Saturday night.
I should have brought my helmet up here to wear it on the Gold Coast. I go to the Gold Coast tomorrow, so I should have worn my Sherry helmet at Movie World or something to get some representation out there.
You should have. Maybe you can get another one somewhere, like a Rebel Sport or something.
Well, they only play rugby up here, which is very weird. I found out that the rugby is actually a lot bigger up here than AFL, which doesn't make any sense. But I'm sure I'll be able to find one somewhere. But, hey, we'll see. It depends how much coin I've got. Anyway, I am going to call it there, Marnie. Thank you. And we'll talk very, very soon for another game of AFL football.
Bye, guys. See you later.
See you guys. Bye.